Hey, everybody, welcome to Tea Time with Amy and Bev. Good evening
Good,
for us.
good evening. Good day. How's it going?
Good day to those who may be listening at any other time, but right now it's evening. It's going pretty good. A little crazy right now, but it's very fulfilling. So I'm good with it.
Yeah,
So, and you?
I understand that. My schedule's been up full as well with things and activities going on. So
Nice.
yeah, which puts us into Monday. Is this Monday? I don't even know what day it is Monday.
Yeah.
It's our Monday.
It's
When
actually
you're hearing this, it's another day.
a new moon today too. So
Huh?
it's a new moon.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Which is nice. And we
yeah,
just had the portal, the 11/11 on Saturday, which is pretty awesome. It was a pretty awesome day. I've been doing a lot more Reiki lately, so that's pretty awesome
nice.
and trusting. So we could go into that route. There again, I was working on somebody and I just took a couple of minutes. Sometimes I feel like I make too much of a to-do of things to work on someone doing distant energy. And I was working on someone recently and I just was at the office in between clients and then I started writing down the stuff and I start questioning things like I'm like gonna send this person, the number 8, and it is relative to the age they were at when whatever happened in their life. There was some turmoil or some things going on. And I'm like, I sent it and I don't hear from this person for a long time. And I'm like, I sent it and I'm like already questioning myself. Oh God, I probably shouldn't have said that. It's too specific, right? Too specific. And what if I'm wrong? And then going through all these emotions that go along with that. And it was like, fuck it. I don't have, I mean, all I can do is receive the information that I'm getting and put it down on a piece of paper. The person can receive it and acknowledge that there was something that happened around that time frame, or maybe don't remember anything at all. It doesn't mean that something didn't happen, but I got the opposite. So when I saw this person in person, then they told me, she's said that she had to go back a little bit and kind of go through some things, but she recognized what was going on during that time frame. And there was a lot of upheaval in her life and a lot of moving and a lot of different things going on. And when you're young like that, it's a lot for a kid, or it can be. It doesn't mean it always is, but it's like it's a transition, leaving from one school to go to another school. But so it's like we have this conversation, then I start hearing all this information. I'm like, okay, that's my ego. The part of me needs to have that confirmation right now, I guess, in the beginning stages of things. And then getting a message later on, even after we had done the Reiki session and stuff, and like, I can't believe how great I feel. And now I have an idea, or now I know which direction to go in order to process some of this healing that they're doing and stuff like that too. But a client, so we've talked before about choosing your client, picking, kind of creating what your clients look like in a lot of ways, like having this idea of what they look like, and because we perform so much better with that instead of someone and I saw a shirt recently that said something about being an asshole. Instead of being an asshole and wanting all this,
Wait.
seriously, another definition. I think Freeman showed it to me, but actually it was him. And I'm thinking, well, he probably should have coined that one because he's been saying it forever. Before I was hearing it anywhere else, that was the first place I heard it. But and it had the whole definition of what an asshole is. So, but instead of having that type of client, not that there's anything wrong with someone that's asking for help and wanting these things, but not in the place where they're ready yet to kind of integrate it into their life and do something more with it. They're at the asshole part. I was at the asshole part once upon my process of this journey. Yes, it's that we want so much to change and be happier and have a happier life, but we're not always good at integrating the information that we receive. And maybe that's not necessarily a bad thing, because maybe that information kind of planted a seed for you, but it wasn't really the seed that you wanted to grow. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just different information comes up for us, but it just helped me kind of like, yeah, I like this. I like being doing the Reiki. I like doing because most of the time I would do it from distance. It's easier in a lot of ways, but this person, and this was a process for me too. This person may end up watching this or may not, but locks down their emotions in a lot of ways because they learned that way from a childhood. So for me to go in doing this was a new one for me to pull in someone's energy and within me and then go through the process, and I'm not getting to the area that this person was talking about hurting. It's not like I'm pulling me to that area at all. I'm getting drawn to the person's not hydrated. I'm being drawn to these basic things, and it's like, that's interesting. Now, if someone's high, if someone eats a gummy, if someone's on pills or anything like that, as soon as I pull their energy and I'm fuzzy headed, I'm not getting, it's kind of all over the place. So it was interesting. Yeah. Oh, you've noticed that before? And then I'll say something to my client, and my client will say, oh, well, I had a gummy. I'm like, well, that explains, because I'm like, your head's really fuzzy, like it, because it's not pure and clear. It's just not. But I couldn't pick up on, I mean, it's not that I couldn't, I just wasn't feeling the energy, the pain within me that this person was having, which I could say that could be a million things. That could be emotional. That could be, I mean, there's just so many other things that maybe I wasn't feeling it. But like I said, it was new. This was a new area to kind of play with. And at first I'm like, God dang it, I'm just not getting anything on this. What is wrong with me? Thinking something's wrong with me, but recognizing there's more to the picture, because I'm introducing someone else's energy to feel what they're going through right now. And it just wasn't coming up. And then like she comes in and it's like, it totally, like, I couldn't stop the information coming through. There was so much information coming through. So it was awesome.
Nice. Yeah, as far as that, what immediately came to me when you said that, she took a gummy and then everything was fuzzy and I'm not being drawn to, was that all the same person? I wasn't drawn.
No. Different experiences, different people.
Okay. Because I mean, really, you can, somebody could show up for a Reiki session and still create a block of not receiving.
Oh, yes.
Right. And so then that, as a practitioner, blocks us from receiving information or guidance or tuning in ways to help them further. So, but yeah, I've worked on somebody who toked a little before their session, and I was feeling those effects when I would start working on them, and I'm like, what in the heck? And yeah, once we got done, because when I work on somebody, I typically don't talk because I want them to relax. And after, when I was done and I asked them about it, oh yeah, it is, I could relax. I'm like, to the audience, it is important that you let your practitioner know some of these things.
It's true.
It's
true.
Yes,
even if you're going to go to someone that's going to communicate with your loved ones from spirit, if you're going to go see a psychic medium, it's the same thing. And then also being open, like recognizing where you're closed off, because otherwise you're almost having to pry the person open. But then it's like, once the person was in my space, that energy shifted. But to be in that, and when I work on someone, because I've been high, but when I work on someone like that, I don't typically, that's not how I would handle someone, because I don't feel grounded.
right.
Or I'll feel how ungrounded they are, honestly. So that's usually a lot of what happens. And it's like, even for my Reiki sessions, I don't know how about yours, but like when my instructor taught us, it could be hands away from the body and the energy, or on the body, matter. And sometimes, like, I would even be guided into some of my cranial sacral holds, because I knew that something needed to be shifted in that space. So it's like, it's just a free for all when that happens. It's just listening to your intuition, and whatever happens next, whatever you're guided to next, is how it's been for me.
Yeah. And I know for you,
Nice.
with you for sure, as well with myself, is when you come to us for Reiki sessions, you're going to get a whole lot more than just an energy session. There's going to be some dialogue. There's going to be some other areas addressed, emotional, mental, not just physical,
Yes.
spiritual. Like all four of them are a package deal for me. And so,
Yes.
so it's not just, oh, I want a 30-minute Reiki session. I don't do that anymore. You come for a session, it's going to be an hour and a half. So not only do we do the session, we also talk about the blocks, all four levels: mental, emotional, physical, spiritual things. I mean, I do a coaching session with them as well, because there's just so much to us. right? And not us as Amy and Bev, as us as humans. And so
Mhm.
people who are seeking a Reiki session or energy shift, yeah, we can do that, but there's more to it. To me, that's just
Yeah,
it's my philosophy. There's so much more to it. And
I
when
agree with
you get
you.
off that, when you get done with that session, there's things to do after the session too, and it's a continuous, or you're going to take the role of just being an asshole, and then you're going to come back with the same or similar um issues and over and over and over.
100%. It
So
was so awesome. This person, like, even like initially, even giving out information like, hey, this is, do this work. And she was already doing it. Like, she was doing that work before she even came in for the Reiki session, and said that she had already noticed the difference, had already noticed relief. Because we don't recognize how much we hold stuff in our bodies.
yeah,
We just don't recognize it. And then it's like you're going into those root chakras, or those lower three chakras, which are, those were created in the beginning when we first got here in these physical bodies. So as far as I know, I mean, I guess that actually could go a million different directions. It could have
yeah,
been something that you had with you when you came in, but it's like, I don't know. I just know it to be our energy centers in our body, in these physical bodies. I don't know about the non-physical. So it was just fascinating when you've got someone that just so wants to do the work, and it's not, and it's amazing because you get to see the growth of this person because they're listening and doing those things. And it's like, then it's like you're not, it's not that we're ever wasting our time, but you feel like that we had value to that we gave value to that person. And the truth is, we're always giving value to someone. It's just however they're ready to utilize that information now or later. It doesn't really matter. And maybe we're just one of the ones that plan to see so they can go see a couple more people they hear the same thing. And that's okay. But
yeah. To
it
me,
was awesome.
that's great. To me, the
And
reward is witnessing the transformation, because it's
yes,
not only is it what they're doing internally, that your actual complexion changes, your eyes change, your physical presence changes. Somebody who is, and I can speak to this because I experienced it in my own self, in my back in the day when I was filled with anger and shame and guilt and all the stuff, that you just have that heaviness. You have the heaviness in your eyes, the dark circles, your complexion is different, your skin is different, your body language is heavy. I mean, we all know what a depressed person looks like: slunched over, head hanging, closed off, heart chakras closed off. And I mean, and then when you're working with somebody and they are doing the work, to me, again, the reward is seeing that shift and seeing them, their body comes up with more confidence. And your it is a free, well, not free, but it's a bonus when you're doing your inner work. The bonus is um it affects your skin. It absolutely 100% affects your skin, and you will look years younger because that heaviness is being lifted, and your eyes will sparkle instead of just being deep and dark, right? So that's the reward to me, is watching that whole transformation. I mean, I had this one lady who came to me and we worked for a little while, and she was exactly what I just said. She's very heavy in her emotion and just like kind of at the end of a rope, and she had these tiny little blue eyes, and you couldn't, from the dark circles, you couldn't really see her eyes because the dark circles were so evident, right? And after working with her for a little bit, her eyes were like amazing. They were little tiny, they're just so tiny, but they were just so bright. And her smile, and when she walked in the room, just totally lit up the room. It was so amazing. And that transformation that's what makes it worth it to me to keep doing this.
because you get to watch the ripple. You get to watch the ripple effect, honestly, because it came from you and it rippled out, and it touched this person, and that person's going to touch so many people, just like you said, just by their vibrancy, just by their we we breathe differently when we don't have all that stress, that fight or flight, that holding the breath and not taking the shallow breathing and not taking the deep breaths, right? It's that we recognize all that is a factor. And of course, when you're not getting the deep breaths, you're not filling up with yourself with oxygen. You're not getting enough for the body. And it's just because you're constantly, people don't even realize how often they're in that state, which is probably more often than not. And I like how you said that, yeah, it's part of there's so much layers to it for us. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that are out there like that as well. Excuse me. I'm clearing out my throat chakra.
Clearing it out. Right on.
That's right. That's right. But it, I recognize how valuable it is. And you just put words to everything because I can't not discuss everything that's coming up. And it's even if I'm working on someone doing a massage, sometimes I'm just like, okay, as soon as they roll over, I'm like, hey, because now I know they're relaxed when they're in that position. They roll over. I'm like, well, I've got some things to share with you.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you're going to respond to it, but I'm just going to share with you these are the things that I picked up.
Yeah.
And so I do that. And I notice it more with new people. I don't get it with so much with maybe clients that I've been seeing for a while. And I feel like because sometimes they're coming in just for the massage. And it's like there's so much more to it. And that information's been shared. And then nothing's
Apparently
ever
they didn't get the memo about you.
they, it doesn't go much further. Yeah, because that's just the way it is. It's just, I mean, there's, like you just said, it's part of the whole package. It's not something I couldn't, they can come in and I can be quiet during their Reiki session and I'll remember the things that I need to remember because I'll tell spirit.
Yeah.
And it's just awesome. And it's awesome each time I'm working on somebody, how I bring in different entities, different ascended masters,
Yeah.
because it's what the person needs, right? It's what the person believes. And you don't even have to know it. You just catch yourself like, okay, well, I'm going to call in Archangel Michael today. Oh, I'm going to call in the Holy Spirit. You know what I mean? I'm going to call in. So it's not always is it like that. Oh, Mother Mary's coming in now. Ooh, Jesus is here. But it's not. I don't have always those people that I call or those energies come in every single time. So to me, it's another fascinating thing about just, oh my God, when we try so hard to be perfect all the time, we miss out on everything. We miss out on everything because if you're trying to do Reiki perfectly, then you're not allowing yourself to call in Archangel Michael or Archangel Raphael or Jesus or God or whatever. You're just not allowing anything outside of I've got to do this in a perfect order. This is the way it's supposed to be. And that's how I felt. And that's why I'm saying this, because when I went through training, it's like, how am I going to do this? I got to remember all these holds and I got to do this. And it's like, and they would say, oh, trust your intuition. What the fuck? Like, trust my intuition. It's like, I wasn't even tuned into all that. I was just getting tuned into touching crystals and stuff like that and feeling energy. And that was like, woohoo for me. So yeah, so it was just crazy, that whole perfection thing when we feel like we got to do everything so perfect and we feel like we're being watched. And
Yeah.
I don't even care if I'm working on someone and I got my eyes closed. Well, if you look up at me and I got my eyes closed, whatever you want to think, I don't care, because sometimes I close my eyes because I'm receiving information. Sometimes I don't.
Yeah. I'm with you. My training too is you need to memorize these hand positions, and I had to do it on the instructor in order to pass. And then I took that 1 and 2 certification from a different instructor, and she's like, here's the manual, here's the hand positions. It's important to know them, but trust your intuition. She didn't give hardly any attention to the hand positions. And that's the way I teach too. Like, you sit and practice them on yourself Reiki, and let them have their book with them, and then do the practice of the hand positions with their book on somebody else. And then I just tell them, listen, you're going to be guided. When you relax, you listen, your intuition is going to guide you. You're going to know where to work on them. Energy is going to go where it's going to flow, and you're going to do great. So there's not pressure on me from, as the instructor. I'm like, we know so much now. I mean, I respect the Reiki and the teachings of it, and I appreciate it. I feel like we've advanced further in understanding energy.
Yes.
And so I totally, I mean, I kind of have a pattern that I will follow if somebody's not completely like relaxed, or like it can't, I'm having difficulty tuning into them. Otherwise, it's totally intuitive guided. I just go wherever I feel like I need to go with my hands, and I'm good with that. If I sit on there,
Yeah.
not sit, but if I have my hands placed around their head for 15, 20 minutes, then that's where it's going to be. It's okay.
It's okay. And that's the awesome thing. And it's like, it's not even really, for me, it's not even about the Reiki anymore. Like you said, you it introduced us to energy. It was another doorway for something else. That's how I feel about it. And it's like, it just opened up the way to do things, but not necessary. And it's like, I even learned, when you were saying all this stuff and you don't even practice by all the book and all that stuff, I had taken my book with me for whatever reason. I had it with me when Jim and I had stayed at a hotel in Las Vegas. And for whatever reason, I left it sitting on the table there. I never got it back. So I never got the book back. Well, now while we were been having this conversation, I realized I was never supposed to have that book, because it wasn't supposed to, my perfectionist would have kept looking back at the book and wanted to do this for this and this for that. And if I ever do the symbol, sometimes I might catch myself doing the same symbol over and over and over again. And it's because the person needs it. And it's like,
Yeah.
Again, we can get in our way and start questioning these things. And it just goes all the way back to use your intuition. You're needing it. This person's needing this energy. And then also I wanted to point out, when we're stuck in that perfectionism and I'm working on someone, now I'm using my own energy to try to do something. And I'm actually taking away from myself instead of allowing that divine energy, that Reiki energy, whatever, Dr. Usui, however you want to do the energy through you. Now it's not just, now it's me trying to be perfect and do all this stuff instead of just allowing that flow, which means I would come out of those type of sessions exhausted afterwards, tired, not exhausted, but after seeing so many clients, I'd be tired. And it was because I was trying to do everything instead of allowing this nice flow to flow through me.
And it's one of the things I think about Reiki. Somebody says, hey, I want to schedule. Absolutely. Because you know what? It's not only for them, it's a bonus for you too, right? Because that energy is flowing through you and to them. And so we're both, I'm like, heck yeah, I'm up for a Reiki session. No doubt.
100%.
Like,
but it's cool.
Well, what I love too about Reiki is, you can have like 50 sessions with one person, and every session is going to be different. Every single session is going to be different, because me as the practitioner, I'm in a different space with myself. The client, if they are doing, well, even with the first Reiki session, they're going to have an energy shift. Now, if they continue to do work on that, the next session is going to be even way different than the first, for sure. But each time, based on life experiences, what happened that day, their mood, every session, and it's like fingerprints. There's not going to be one session the same.
Well, because you're unpacking so much information. So like you're unpacking the suitcase, you're not going to unpack the same stuff out of that suitcase every single time. We're just, or those boxes, those boxes that you've been had in storage forever, forgot about it at the storage unit. And then you go find the key, open a storage unit, you got all up in there. It's time to let go of it. And it's awesome. It really is. It's an awesome experience. It's just working through it. I think I was just having a conversation this morning, and we were talking about, we don't have to know where all this stuff is, where the exact moment of all this information showed up in your system. You don't have to know that. It's just working through it, because there's been some things that have come forward for me that I recognized, oh my gosh, that's where this stemmed from. But I didn't know it when I was working through the stuff, and it was okay. But it's like now it just comes through, and it's like, man, it's no big deal. It's nothing to hold on to. It's nothing to know. I mean, it's all good to just set yourself free of it, really. So back to the unpacking of things.
Yeah.
Getting rid of all that clutter in your house. And this is our house. It's to take care of that and not have all that stuff in there.
Well, and Louise Hay was coined for saying, in order to clean the house, you got to see the dirt. It's like, wow. Okay.
That's awesome. That's awesome. But it's true. And sometimes we're not right. Sometimes we don't want to see that. Well, it'll be there for when you want to look at it. That's the way I look at it. It's okay. That's okay. You don't have to look at it right now, but you can look, you'll, at some point, you'll probably look at it. Maybe, some people don't. And I keep telling people, the more that we work on ourselves individually, it's affecting our ancestors, it's affecting our children, it's affecting everybody around us, our partners, our peers at work. It's affecting everybody just by us doing these things. That's what was so amazing. It wasn't like, oh, look what I did. It was all like, oh my gosh, look at the change that's going to happen from all this. That's phenomenal, because it's such, like I always say, the ripple, the butterfly effect, however you want to call it, but it's all the little tiny things. You think about the butterfly effect, and it's just the wings moving, and the energy that's coming off of that. So subtle, so tiny that you think nobody would notice a difference. And then you hear about past life or near death experiences that, they talk about those kind of things, how all these little things made such a huge difference in another person's life, and looking at them and smiling, like you don't think anything about that, but that person was thinking about probably killing themselves that day. So it's like, there's such value in just us working on ourselves, and us staying in our integrity, and us being who are we, finding that out, and then being that person that you want to be, not being restricted or controlled by anybody else, just being you. Because it
Yeah.
doesn't matter anymore. We're not in high school anymore. We don't have, I'm not for a popularity, that old wanting to be seen and heard. And it's like, now it's different. Now it's about, it's not even about that, because no matter what, when we're into our soul, which I've noticed this lately too, if I'm looking at you and you're having a not a great day, and I'm looking at you, I can look at your soul. I don't have to, it's not even just you. What if your neighbor is grumpy all the time and you see them all the time? Below that surface, this suit that we're in is a soul. And it's like, you can see their soul, you can feel their soul. You don't have to feel them on a surface level. And that's something else I'm learning as well too. And then we can look at everybody and we appreciate them and we love them so much. We really do.
I think that's because that piece to me is, well, it's connected to that forgiveness process, the F word of the healing process. And so many of us, are resistant to do that. I'm speaking for myself for sure on that one.
Oh, yes,
And
all
so
of us.
to help people, students, clients understand that we're all spirit and body, and we're all love and joy. It's the shell, so our physical body and all of our programming and experiences, that's contributed to the way we are and how we show up in life. So if you can see past the shell, so if you think about I don't know, like a peanut M&M, there's the coating, that's what we see, that's the vibe, the color we see, but that's a little crunchy coating, and beyond that's the chocolate and the nut. Some of us are nutty. I am. So, but when we see at what's inside instead of focusing on the exterior, that comes with practice. And it does to me. I mean, after doing a forgiveness process and practicing that, the seeing others through that eyes of spirit, or seeing their soul, it becomes easier. And even those people that are very disgruntled or angry, that are doing things we don't agree with, we can see past that shell and recognize their spirit in their body and connect there and send the love there. It becomes a lot easier.
Yeah. Because you can't read a book by its cover.
Yeah.
Right. And back to, even we were talking about, I think it was the last session that we had talked, we were talking about Alex Ferrari's Next Level Soul, and how he was doing his advertising, and how how they were saying that, how they're getting people's attention. And then for me, right, book by its cover, again, I read that and it's like, so that's, I'm like, oh, I'm not going to listen to this. And then I end up listening to something, or it ends up popping on because maybe I'm driving and it's like, well, I really need to listen to something. Oh, okay, I'll just listen to this. And then it turns out to be such the best
Yeah.
thing I've ever heard. But it's like not going by it. It's again, not judging it by its cover, really. Because even though someone's doing that to get attention for the masses, I'm already past that point. I'd rather, if it's not reaching me from a positive message, then I'm usually going to kind of shun it. I'm not going to pay much attention to it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of shifted, but it's interesting. It's nice that, hey, if I can shift, anybody can shift. That's what I would tell people. Because I'm telling you, I was not my whole life. It was usually one emotion, and that was anger. And if there
Yeah.
was crying, it's just because I got too pissed off, and then I was
Right.
crying. That's all. Yeah. So, if I can do it, anyone can do it.
I'm right there with you, sister.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Oh, it is now. Wasn't then,
It
but
is. That's true. It's true. You're right. It is now. It is now. And it wasn't then. It wasn't even probably 2 weeks ago. But
yeah.
the more that I can get in that space of just not seeing a person by their shell and really slowing down, that means I can't be all stuck in my crap.
Yeah.
It's like a practice, right? I'm practicing this on a daily basis. I'm sure it's good for me for a million things because we pick up so much information when we slow down, when we don't have an agenda, when we don't have judgments, when we don't have our perfectionism, when we're not doing any of those things, we can take in so much more information, and you can see a person at their soul level, not from the surface level. And then all you want to do is just give them love because that's all you feel coming from them. You're not feeling the immediate, the what's on the exterior. They want to push, they want to fight, they want to argue, they want to whatever. It's opposite of that. It's they want to love. They just want to be loved.
Yeah.
And then you can give them so much love in that space. But we don't know that until we can see them past that exterior.
And really, it doesn't mean, just so for the audience, doesn't mean you have to associate with this person. You don't have to
Oh
talk on
no.
the phone, you don't have to text them, you don't have to hang out with them. You can do this from a distance and it's okay. So, wow, what a great,
100%.
it's awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's just great because even I was in that space tonight. I'm like, I have no idea what we're going to talk about. I don't know what to
I
say.
didn't either. I didn't either. I just sat here and scribbled a lot. I'm like, okay, because I got on when I first got sat down, I was like, okay, Spirit, I don't know, because this is the end of a day for us, and
Right.
usually I'm like fresher in the morning, right? But we can be fresh anytime,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm recognizing. But I'm sitting here, I'm like, I don't know what we're gonna be talking about today, Spirit. So I like, it's you guys get to take over the show, and so they use our experiences.
Yeah.
So it's awesome. So thank you.
All right, my friends, we are going to call it good. Thank you for hanging out with us. Your time and energy, we completely appreciate. We appreciate it when you share us with your friends and family, because we know other people are out there that could benefit from this information. So please share us. And thank you for hanging out. Tea Time with Amy and Bev.
Yay.
Yay,
Have a
yay.
great week.
All right. Take care, friends.
Bye.